Alhamdulillah, I missed you. So I was at Dar al-Tawheed last night. I gave a talk there and Imam Ibrahim came here. Alhamdulillah, he said he enjoyed it. So I'm very glad that no one died. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So I knew a friend from Egypt and he was desperate and he wanted to marry the sister and his family was totally against it. And this brother, mashallah, was very tall. His arm is bigger than me. Very tall. Well, one of the tallest people I've met in my life. He proposed several times and they said, no, you're not marrying our daughter, beat it, get out, bye-bye. But the guy was insistent. He said, I have to marry the sister, I'm in love with her. They said no. And actually at some point he threatened to jump off of a building and kill himself. And when I heard this story, I told him the guy is bluffing because if he jumped, the sucker's not going to die. He's very tall. Like, he's not going to die. Maybe he said, if I jump in the ocean or something, but you jump off the building, you're tall. You're taller than the building itself. So eventually they got married. And after 5-7 years in the marriage, he has been pulling his hair off. He said, why did I marry? Like, biggest mistake of my life. I know some people who do like a feasibility study to start a business. They know for sure they will succeed. They study the market, they have the money, they have the expertise, and the business fails. Big time. We know big companies like back in the 1990s, Kodak was all over the place. They dominated the market, you know? Nokia, for example, they dominated the market. Where are they now? Nowhere to be found. So now, inshallah, I'm going to talk about one of the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Hakim. Al-Hakim. Wallahi, this is one of the most beloved names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to my heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows and He is wise. Hikmah in the Arabic language, if you put something in the right place. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always puts things in the right place because He knows. And this is why, subhanAllah, when you look at the ending of the surahs in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always speaks about His knowledge and hikmah. Sometimes He says, Inna Rabbaka Hakimun Alim, and sometimes He says, Inna Rabbaka Hakimun Alim, the opposite. Sometimes Alimun Hakim, sometimes Hakimun Alim. And if you look at Surah An'am, because sometimes we don't know the hikmah for what is halal and what is haram. People ask, okay, why is pork is haram? Right? So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about pork and He speaks about haram items to eat, He says, Inna Rabbaka Hakimun Alim. He knows the hikmah. So He starts with Hakim, then Alim. But in Surah Yusuf, when you read the story for the first time and you don't know what is going on and how things will end up at the end, we don't know what will happen in the future. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Rabbaka Alimun Hakim. He starts with knowledge. SubhanAllah, even the ending of the ayat in the Quran has a lot of hikmah. So the reason why I started with the story of the guy who wanted to jump off of a building, he didn't know the hikmah. He was desperate to achieve something. He thought it was best for him and it ended up not being the best thing for him. Maybe it was the worst thing for him. And the story of the brother who started a business thinking he knew everything in the market and he ended up being a loser. Because we don't know everything and sometimes we lack the hikmah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything and He knows the hikmah. And this is why don't question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If something good happens to you, say Alhamdulillah. If something bad happens, say Alhamdulillah. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Maybe you will hate something and it turns out to be the best thing that ever happened to you. And maybe you love something and it turns out to be the worst thing that has ever happened to you. And the stories are so many. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says at the end of this ayah in Surah Baqarah, Allah knows and you don't know. So you never question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All you do is do your best, wait and see. I know big da'iyah, mashallah, one of the leading dua in the West, his name is Father Sulaiman. He used to live in the US for a long time, then he moved to, he's in the UK now. Mashallah, he's very active in da'wah. Many years ago he was in New York. He was visiting, I think, from New Jersey. So he was in New York. He was attending a meeting at the United Nations building in New York. So that day of September, he woke up in the morning 2-3 hours before the meeting. He said, well, I have free time. I'm going to go to those tallest buildings in New York, the Twin Towers, to take a look and take pictures from the top and see what is going on. And subhanAllah, he said he waited in the street for more than half an hour trying to find a cab to take him to the Twin Towers. No one stopped for him. And he was mad. What is this? People are so disrespectful. They don't want to serve me. What is going on? And he said if I was able to take the cab, I would be inside the first tower half an hour before the first plane hit. He said I would have been dead if that cab stopped for me, if that taxi stopped for me that day. And that day was September 11, 2001. He didn't know the hikmah, he knew 2 hours later. Right? So you have to trust the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I know a friend also in Vancouver, and he said many years ago when he moved to Vancouver from Egypt, he was desperate to have children. And he was making dua day and night, Ya Allah, I need a son, children, I need children, especially a son. And he got married and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a son. 2 years later, they had a swimming pool in the backyard. His son fell in that pool, and his son has been on, what do you call those machines? Life support for about 23 years. And he said, that kid that I was desperate to have destroyed my life. He got a divorce. He spent all his money. They traveled to save his life. And he said, I wish I never had this kid. SubhanAllah. You don't know the hikmah. So if Allah gives you something good, you have to wait and see the hikmah. If something bad happens to you, you have to wait and see the hikmah. Now put yourself in the place of Yusuf alayhi salam. You get stabbed in the back. I know the worst thing that can ever happen to you, if someone that you know, someone that you love, your own flesh and blood, they betray you, they stab you in the back. I understand if a stranger, someone you don't know, they stab you in the back or whatever, they don't know me. But your own flesh and blood, they betray you, they want to kill you, they throw you in the well, and they're jealous of you. So now put yourself in his place in the well. Okay, I'm doomed, my life is over, that's it. So he's picked up and he moves to Egypt. Now he's a slave. I have no potential, I have no future, I'm just a slave. I'm doomed, I'm finished. Then after that he ends up in jail. I'm doomed, I'm finished. What is going on? But you see the hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the story. And when you read the first couple of pages or 3 pages in the story, being betrayed by his own brothers, being thrown in the well, being sold into slavery, being thrown in jail unjustly, SubhanAllah, you say, this person is doomed, he has no future, that's it for him, he is done. And you move to the end of the surah, he became the Aziz of Egypt, the second strongest, richest man in Egypt. So it seems that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed him to be thrown in jail, to be sold into slavery, to end up in jail, to become the Aziz of Egypt. So you always trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because He has ilm and He has hikmah. Hakimun alim. We should always say Alhamdulillah and trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll continue tomorrow inshallah. So from 2 days ago, the winner was the brother that I forgot his name is Farouk Raza. Farouk Raza. Is he here? Farouk Raza, is that you? MashaAllah. Finally. Jazakallah brother. Good job. Takbir. So last time we said that in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes when Musa alayhi salam threw down his staff, always he said, ثُعْبَانٌ مُبِينٌ حَيَّةٌ تَسْعَى, snake. But there is one ayah in the Quran in Surah An-Naml, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَمَّا رَآهَا تَهْتَزُّ كَأَنَّهَا جَانٌّ وَلَّا مُدِبِرًا. Why does it say jinn here? So the word jan in the Arabic language here, in this particular sense, doesn't mean jinn. It means a very fast or quick snake. So in the other ayat we use the word snake, but in this one we use the word viper. A type of snake in the Arabic language, we call it jan. So it's a type of snake, it's not jinni, there's no contradiction here. And the winner is Dr. Asim Hujja. Is he here tonight? Dr. Asim? Yeah, come. Okay, khalas, we'll give it to you inshallah. Barakallah fiqh. So the question for tonight, whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about creation, creating us, He says in one place, I created you from dust, another place, I created you from mud, in the third place, I created you from clay, silsal. How do you explain this? It should be one thing. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give different information all the time? If you know the answer, email me before tomorrow Asr at Imam Mustafa at Anatolia Center.ca. Jazakallah khair. Barakallah feek.